More than 90% of my portfolio.
Okay, so the question is?
So can Bitcoin be like a digital form of gold?
Okay.
No.
That's the final answer, right?
Yeah.
Shall we leave it?
You know, I hesitate to say that, but I say it because I have no fear. Because I know that the social media tonight and tomorrow is going to hit me like crazy, because that's the community that they form, and that's the belief that they have, and that's the confidence that they generate amongst themselves. But I still am of the view that there is no intrinsic value and there is no underlying value to it, which doesn't mean to say that there is no hype created as a result, that some can associate with a value, meaning a price, which then moves up and down depending on what happens, who is instrumenting all this. By the way, I'm not thinking the same thing about stable coins.
In the case of Bitcoin, it doesn't have any income, it doesn't have any use, it doesn't have any utility. So what's the value of it based on what? Based on no intrinsic value and purely a speculative bubble. That's why I argue that Bitcoin, like all the other shit coins, are worth zero. Actually negative given the hogging of energy and environmental cost. If there was a carbon tax on crypto, the value of these assets will be negative. So what's the fundamental value? What's the use? What's the utility that justifies the capital gain? None. It's a speculative bubble that is based on pump and dump, spoofing, wash trading, and manipulation by tether. There's a total scam. So for institutional investors saying we're going to invest into crypto doesn't make any sense. You have a failing company that had a flat stock market like MicroStrategy for a decade, and its head was a coke addict, decided then to bet the entire house on Bitcoin. That's irresponsible behavior. And there's not going to be any corporate head who's going to put his cash, as you pointed out clearly, into something that is so volatile. You put your cash in something that is stable. And for somebody like Elon Musk, who knows that there's a market impact to manipulate, first take an individual position into Bitcoin, pump the price up, and then say that Tesla has invested and Tesla doesn't make money yet, it's also irresponsible and it's market manipulation. The SEC should be looking to people that have a market impact, that manipulate the price of assets. That's also criminal behavior.
What is that? The truth. Every time a new baby is born, the Federal Reserve issues a secret birth certificate printed by a company called the American Bank. That way, the government can use people as currency to back the debt they have with the World Economic Forum, which owns the central banks of every nation on Earth. But the WEF is just a front for the Council on Foreign Relations, which masterminded the 9/11 attacks as a pretext to invade Iraq, take the oil, and install fast food chains to make people slow, fat, and easily abductable by the shape-shifting reptilian aliens it works with. Now, back in the 30s, FDR made a deal with these reptilians to exchange people for technology. That was the basis of the New Deal. But ever since, they've been slowly replacing all the world leaders to create a nuclear holocaust to make global warming real for their takeover. That's how they made up the Cold War, by sending Leica to space to bite Neil Armstrong while Kubrick was faking the moon landing. Now they're using satellite waves, contrails, and measles vaccines as mind control, and fluoridating the water to keep people's gold fillings intact so they can be sent back to, you guessed it, the Federal Reserve, where all the gold and birth certificates are stored by the real puppet master, the world monarch, who is himself only the servant of the all-seeing eye who controls everything in the world.
How is that that pilot you shot there, you know, about the truth-telling sitcom? How did that go? Did it get picked up? Unfortunately, no. It got canceled before we even got to pitch it. But it was fun to make. Can you imagine that show? I don't even know where that show is from. Maybe it did last longer, and that was like one little episode for it. 122, 631. A couple days ago, we said we wanted to sun our blank blank on the 20 moving average here. Sure enough, we did more than that. We kind of careened down. Now we almost did that compression kick in there. I hope it didn't blow your ears out. We almost touched the 38.2% fib. God, that's what, 126 and 124. So $200 away. Does that constitute a check mark? It's close. It's close. But, you know, I just feel better if it did it, you know, because it just leaves an itch unscratched, so to speak, which is exactly at our channel of ascension. You know, we're outside of the pump and dump range right now. What I mean by that is that we're just witnessing the boring oscillation of a market inundated with bots. We'll just go to these levels like we always do, and then we'll have a pump. Like last week, we basically pumped all week. You can see though, the weird part about this channel of ascension is that look how far it goes back. I mean, we are out of it for so long right here. You know, almost forgot about channel of ascension. Who? And then boom, we get back into it and we start respecting its. How far does it go back here? I wonder how far it would go back. Let's just do a little experiment here, if I can. It's getting really tight here. That's good. It's getting too small here. We'll go back here. Anyway, yeah. So what I'd like to see, and you can almost see it happening today, is a retest of this 23.6% fib. It would be dicey because we would get what some legacy analysts call pretty close to a bearish engulfing candle. Wouldn't be good for the bots that are running the market right now. Bullishly speaking, I like to get above the 200 or the 20 moving average here at 23.2, and then continue up to break out of our channel of ascension, 24K. E-money, your computer is going to catch on fire with all those elements on the screen. Yeah, it's a 4-hour charge. She's a noisy little so-and-so. And outside of that, you know, it's normal to take a little bit of a breather after that. Let's check it out on the daily. I did this. I don't know if did you guys watch the stream yesterday with Drew? I think he was on the big channel, Discover Crypto. It wasn't on blockchain. But anyway, we did a video and I wanted to show his viewers where we are. Jimmy Coco's an entire data center in Utah is dedicated to drawing. Come on. I changed my TV up here. Pianomatty's charts, yes. So why this is why I have these big arrows is because it represents the length of bull markets. And if we go back, come on, right here, it's April 19th. That's where the halving, you know, that's this cycle's halving. And now the average of all bull markets last until their peak, 480 days. So that would have been, if we were doing the average, that would have been August 14th. And you could see, like, take a look at this. This is, why is this? I changed my TV as a monitor. I'll get to that later. Look at this. This was a pretty scary day because look, this was 480 days, the average length of a bull market. And we hit at what that was, you know, the all-time high. I mean, it was the highest we'd been, 124. And then we completely got rejected. So that was a dicey, like that was basically, you know, sitting on the sidelines, biting your nails, essentially. Now that is the average. Now we have been having slightly elongated bull runs. So my math is off and I'm approximating here. First one was 367 days. Second one was 526 or 46. And then the third one, 2021, peaked 548. Yeah, so it was 2017 would have been 526 or something like that. And so the last bull run peaked at 548 days. That was November 10th, 2021. That would put us out from the halving to October 20th, which is, what is today, the 8th? Let's call it 2 weeks. 2 weeks until we are at officially the longest bull run to peak that we've ever had. So I mean, here we are at 126K, which is October 6th, which is 14 days. That's officially 2 weeks before the longest peak, before 2021's peak. Now, it's a humble opinion of this piano that if we're just following the numbers, you know, like we are pattern recognition eyes, say Tshirts, that it would, you know, be normal to say that we'll probably get, I don't know, 20 more days out of 500. If 2017 was 526, 2021 was 548, maybe, just maybe, 2025 would be 568. I don't know. Let's just see where that goes. So 500, that's 20 days from now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's just do the math. It's October 20th. 20 days out would be roughly November 10th or 11th, which would be that would be the exact day, I think. November 10th, 2021 was when we peaked finally in that bull market. So it's kind of weird how those numbers truly add up. You know, 20 days from now would be the exact day of the last bull run peak. Now, what does it matter to me? It matters not, because I am not parting with any Bitcoin I may or may not have. It's just too risky, because we don't know what's going to happen in this cycle. We're in a different ecosystem now. The cycle will remain somewhat intact. But we're obviously this bull market, we're not seeing the same swings that we did previously. We're not seeing these massive pumps and these massive dumps. So there is something different about this bull run. So maybe there will be something different about the bear market. Maybe we won't see as much of a downturn. So last time we saw, what was it, 80%? 80%. No, I think it was less than that. I think it was 75%. Let's just say 75%. Todd Hoddle, I love this analysis, Pianomattyb, exactly what I've been pondering. I haven't seen you on the old comment section. Long-time lurker, first-time commenter. Nice to see you, Todd Hoddle. Are you from Canada? I've been asking that lately because I want to start a resistance cell here of like-minded Canadians when the shit hits the fan, based on that thumbnail, the biggest red flag in history, which we'll get to in a second. I just want to finish this TA, dot the I's, and cross the fundamental T's, if it were. Although I just forgot what I was talking about. Oh yeah, 70% Emange. Instead of 70% drop, we get 50% and it freaks the normies out. Yeah, can you believe? Like, it's hard to. I feel like a boomer when I talk about the dumps. You know, back in my day, we had 30% dumps almost every month. Sometimes we'd even have a 50% dump. That is back in my day. And what did we do when we got a dump? Well, we just sat through it. We didn't bitch and complain about it. We just, you know, that's the way the cycle worked. It had ups and downs, and we had these massive dumps, 30%. So when I see these kids running around on the street, you know, losing their mind over a 3% dump, I just honestly, I don't know what to tell the kids. I don't know why it became country too. Speaking of it, let's go see how absolutely destructive this dump was. From the wick to the wick, 4%, 4.3%. People, my guy, 4% dump. It's weird because we do get climatized to volatility, right? The bigger the volatility, the normal it seems. The smaller the volatility, the more fragile we get. Oh my God, 4%. That's it. It's over. I should have sold at 126. Now, there are some people who sold at 100, 110. You know, that this is why I don't think the whales are that smart. They were smart when they were commandeering the cycle. You know, they had 3 easy runs at it, sell around the top, let retail float the boat. They know the wick means nothing and it comes down and they buy it again. And they get to basically quad up every cycle. Those days are over. And the fact that a lot of them sold now just goes to show, you know, the power of benevolence. They weren't smart people. They were lucky nerds. Now, holding for 15 years is the power of benevolence. That is powerful. But at the same time, they sold at a weird number, you know, like selling your bags at 100K. Yeah, if it's worth billions, I get it. But the reason I say they're not smart is that there's better ways to do that. That's not what smart, wealthy people do. Smart, wealthy people don't liquidate their assets. They keep their assets forever. They borrow against. And that's going to be so normal the next 4 to 6 years that they will be telling that story for a long time. Although they'll probably not want for anything, but you got to remember, what did they sell into? They sold into fiat blood money. A lot of it. They're basically, remember that fat nerd that was there? Now just picture him in that American Beauty poster, but all those rose petals are like dollar bills, fiat blood money, right? That's what he's bathing in. He's still in his mom's basement, right? So they weren't prepared for what they had. They held on for dear life, and then they sold at a weird number. I mean, $10,000. People were talking about 100K, saying that it would never hit 100K. Then it hit 100K. And now people are talking about 1 million, and the same people are saying it'll never hit 1 million, right? It's just with Bitcoin and the number go up technology, just put that one on the shelf. It goes to 10, it goes to 100. It goes to 100, goes to 1 million. Goes to 1 million, goes to 10 million. Goes to 10 million, goes to 100 million. Now, I'd like to go on record and say I got my first normie call for help a couple days ago. A little bit of a top signal. I'm not saying the top's in, but you know, normally your normie friends are going to contact you when it goes super high, right? As high as Jim Brewer in the 90s. That's what's going to happen. And so it was a call. It was, hey, can you come? A mutual friend of us, we want to learn about Bitcoin. I thought they were just trolling me, you know, like making fun of me. That's what basically, as a Bitcoiner, you spend most of your time being made fun of, right? Even by people close to you. I've come to the conclusion, you know, like now that it's, you know, 125, we all know it's still nothing. You know, to the vast majority of normies out there, they're like, oh my God, Bitcoin's at 125K. It's crazy. I don't even know what that is Canadian. 170, 180, I don't know what it is in Canadian. But we know it's nothing. It's just another high, right? But for them, it's enough to start talking about it and making their acknowledgments. And then I can't help but think, have all these people, including my family, been thinking I'm crazy this whole time? Like I walk out the door and they're like, oh my God, I feel so bad for him. I think he's in a cult. Maybe I am in a cult. I just can't help but think that everyone was making fun of me this whole time. And that's okay. Because the truth is, people have made fun of me my whole life. This short little story. Scotty J, who played in Blackout City Kids, and we had the song Wrong Turn. That was in the movie Wrong Turn. The only song that's ever made me any money amongst the hundreds of songs I've written. We played in this band. It was a mashup band. We would play continuous medleys and mashups. So if you watch the piano live stream, sometimes I'll go into like a massive mashup medley. Those are from Blackout City Kids. And we played it, and it was probably the most successful duo as far as working musicians in Winnipeg for sure. I was about to say Canada, definitely not Canada, but We are, flying all over the place, playing these massive corporate events, big money for a couple of guys on acoustic guitar. Yet everyone, my friends, his friends, constantly made fun of us. It was weird. But, now that I'm saying it, it's like, it is Winnipeg. It's a very Winnipeg thing to do. Winnipeg tends to eat its own until they manage to get out of the cesspit that's Winnipeg. And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, they're great. But while they're in, they try to eat their own. Now, Todd Hoddle, McRib Signal is in. Did you see the McRib Signal video a couple days ago? I guess that's reference to it. Denny Kane, my buddy, told me at 33K that Bitcoin is for people who think they're special for no reason. I said, you don't hate the dollar enough, and laughed. That's weird, eh? They think they're special for no reason. Well, there might be some truth to it. There's always a little bit of truth in everything. For instance, if you watch the piano streams, after this, I promise you, I will tell you what the biggest red flag in history is. You already know it. I'm just here to remind everyone. If you watch the piano stream, Friday and Saturday were both huge crowds for the Jimmy. Now, Friday, the crowd was, a bad crowd. They wouldn't applaud. They wouldn't do anything. And then, of course, we start making fun of them and the night's over, right? One of the girls or somebody contacted Kyle, and she had like this big, long thing about how great it was, but how shitty we were for making fun of them. And at first, I was like, yeah, screw her. But there is some truth into it. There is some truth. As a professional musician, it's our job to kind of entertain them no matter what, right? That's why we're always trying to, so you guys online when watching us, we're always trying to crack the nut. What song's going to bring this dead crowd to life, right? And sometimes we get there and sometimes we don't. Usually it's too late. It's just the booze. We just kind of unlock the booze combination. But there is always a little bit of truth in everything that you don't want to hear. Maybe Bitcoiners think they are a little more special. I do. I think I'm a little more knowledgeable than most. Does that make me think I'm more special? I guess so. You know what I mean? Now, the biggest red flag in history, of course, is digital IDs. And this is why I want to start a Canadian cell, a resistance cell, because we have to somehow figure a way to combat this. This is coming so fast and furious that I'm raking my mind to figure out how to avoid it. It's not like the vaccine where you can just kind of like shutter in place for 18 months and not go to wherever people go, right? I don't go anywhere, so it's no big deal. But digital IDs, I don't know how you avoid it. I'm trying to figure it out. You can't shutter in place because you can't drive. You can't use a bank. You can't probably have your kids go to school. Now, if you're asking, well, why does this matter about a digital ID? Because the digital ID is the shepherd to all the data sheep that we are already in a pen. All our data sheep is in the field eating grass, but they need the shepherd, which is the digital ID, to encompass everything. So all these little data points, your driver's license, your bank account, your IRS file or whatever the hell it is in the States, your medical card, all these things are separate cards. But the digital ID, for your safety and convenience, obviously, wrangles all these little data sheep into one functionable shepherd, where in order for the shepherd to work and be validated, they all have to be under this digital ID. So when I think about myself, I think of a driver's license. I mean, are you really going to drive your car without a driver's license and then risk all the insurance aspect of it? Well, you can't get insurance without a digital ID. So that you're everywhere I go, I'm hooped with this. And then I think even about the school, you know, but I'll just get an email from Duke School. I'll just a reminder to submit your son and or daughter's digital ID before coming to school this year. You know, might not, these things won't roll out on Monday, but they'll roll out eventually. And maybe, man, I don't know. I don't know how to combat this. Mad Fatted Baby, I'd like to say if enough of us say no to digital ID, that won't happen. But then again, who knows? Yeah, of course. Optimistically, I think that too, Mad Fatted Baby. But in Canada, at least, these Commonwealth countries, you can see they're all being rolled out the Commonwealth first. They're almost like the test grounds. When it comes to Canada, we have so many government workers and pensioners that will auto hit the digital ID because they won't get paid or their pension unless they get the digital ID. It'll be like, oh, well, I got to get it. Click. That's instantly half. And like I said before, it's 23.6% FIB adoption, right? We don't need 50%. That's not like the tip. The tip is 23.6. After that adoption, it's uncontrollable, right? And there's way more than 23.6% of the population that are on the government dole up in Canada. Lasers go pew pew. We have IDs, many IDs. It hasn't solved problems. It's created more problems. Yeah, well, hey, now all your problems are solved with one digital ID. Jimmy Coco, digital ID's threat to freedom is not readily obvious in the age of endless digital paperwork. One of the problems there too is that most people, it's sad to say, but most people don't give a shit. When they hear the government's implementing digital IDs, it means nothing to them. It's like them hearing that they're not allowing raw milk from farms to be sold. They're like, yeah, whatever. Right? That's the vast majority. Now, everyone in this community is a little bit different. We're a little more special. We have a little more knowledge on things. We understand how these things play out. Now, even when it comes to Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin to me was always the last freedom lever that you could always pull, right? But with these digital IDs, you know, just like the KYC of yesteryear, remember when everything went to KYC? You know, even Bull Bitcoin, which is a Canadian one, that went to KYC. They didn't want to, obviously, but in order to receive their license to, you know, be a functioning fintech business, they had to comply or else that business is gone. Now those businesses aren't going to go away. The exchanges aren't going to go away, but you're going to have to upload your digital ID to it. So now how private is your stash of loot? If you ever want to move it, you know, through an exchange, let's say you have some family member health problem and you gotta come up with $70K right away. Well, you got to use the digital ID. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe there's some place you can go in South America where they won't use it. Maybe. But this is the nice thing about the free market is that someone will always offer an answer to a problem. And the problem is digital IDs. Whether people know it or not, most people don't. That's fine. The answer will be somewhere where they don't, where freedom runs aplenty, right? Are we still going to see one of those places? I hope so.
Make sure you like and subscribe.